Oh, so we begin.
Wow.
Oh,
We finally made it here, eh?
yeah, it took a while. I've been wanting to do that podcast for so long.
It stemmed
So,
from a group chat.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's something that I wanted to do for more than a year. But I had this weird sense that it was like super complicated to set up. And
Yeah.
like, I'm good with computers if I get into it. I just didn't want to.
I
And
think it's funny that you talk about it being super complicated and then we're both sitting here with headphones on with a
yeah,
full mic
the
setup.
full
It
fucking
looks like we've been
setup.
doing this for years. This is
Yeah.
the first time we've done it.
Yeah, and we got that set up in what, like 7 days? A
Yeah, I
week?
mean, when people have an excuse of like it's too difficult to do something, it's really not, is it? Like
Yeah.
it took no time at all to get this thing set up the
No,
way we
for
wanted it
sure.
to.
And even like, I mean, we could have spent like fucking $100 and get like a really
Yeah.
basic setup. Obviously, Blake being super wealthy,
Yeah.
he put pressure on me to get everything top
I
notch.
well shamed him into the road, Mike, for
Yeah,
sure.
so now my credit card is loaded. I needed to call MX today to get a second card, which is
That's some of
actually
the
true.
yeah, yeah. Some of
Eh,
the financial advice that you guys are going to get on this podcast, I think, right? Because we
Yeah,
we really don't only want to talk about fitness on here. Like that's why we had the average bros. I think it encompasses a whole host of things. So finances, fitness, what else are we going to talk about on here, Julian?
relationships,
Relationships. Yeah.
mindset,
Yep.
life advice in general, I would say.
Mhm.
Building a business, building a brand. I feel like there's a lot of listeners that are going to want or are trying to get sponsored by different brands for different stuff. So
Mhm.
I feel like it's something we can both touch on. Um,
Well, you and I have been in the position before of like bringing on athletes. And I
yeah,
think a lot of people are interested in like, I got the question all the time before, even when I was at Fusion,
yeah,
was how do you become an athlete, right?
yeah.
Do you get that question too?
Well, for sure, all the time. And there's a big disconnect right now in what needs to be done and what you need to be able to bring to the brand.
Correct.
Uh, So we're going to be able to talk about that at some point in the podcast.
Hmm.
Maybe when we get like a business, like a supplement company owner or something at the same time, or we can
Yeah.
just talk about that ourselves. Um, Obviously, a lot of people look at guys like Chris Bumstead and want to emulate that. Um, and the reason why I feel like we wanted it called Average Bros and why it works is because let's be real, like there's a lot of podcasts right now on the market or whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, but most of these podcasts are not with people that most people can really relate to, in
Right.
the sense that's like the guys are like top pros, right? Or
Hmm.
like super like successful business people. Not saying we're not successful, but like people that aren't really like in the same range
What
as
am
the
I? A
listeners.
middle of the road pro?
Yeah,
Like I'm
exactly.
just like
Like a fuck, like
you that's
second
why it's
call
the
out kind of
average.
guy. Yeah,
I'm an
exactly.
average pro.
Exactly. Average pro, right?
That's
But
amazing.
I feel like we're going to be able to bring something that's more like in reach. Whereas,
Hmm.
like, if you look at, like, let's say you look at Fuad or at Ian or Chris or any of those top girls, it's like, yeah, it's nice, it's super motivating, but it's also one in a million. Whereas I
Hmm.
feel like for us, it's more like in reach if people actually put in the work. Not just
Yeah.
talking about her physique, but like what we built with her life, like how everything is set up. So I feel like that's something that most people are going to be able to relate and really just take stuff. And that's really what I personally want. I want people to finish an episode and be able like to be like, okay, like I had
Hmm.
fun listening, but I can also take those 5, 7 minutes of actual info and apply it to my life right now.
Yeah, and I think that's too like with touching on the athlete thing, like there was a time when I was had the same question, you know, like how do I
Yeah,
become an athlete? And then past that, you know, it was the coaching piece and how do I become a coach and what does a successful coach look like? And I think from just starting out coaching to kind of where you and I are at in the scheme of things, like there's the top level coaches that you hear from all the time.
yeah,
And then we've kind of gotten ourselves into that mid-range. But it's not been for like a lack of like work, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So, and I don't think people understand what work goes into that and like what the reason is. Maybe you and I have the amount of clients that we have or have some of the successes we have, but it's not, you know, a situation where obviously luck is involved in everything that we
for
do
sure.
day to day, but there, like to your point, there's going to be a really finite list of things that you can do to achieve, you know, at least what we have gotten ourselves into. And then hopefully through this podcast, we're going to talk to guests and find out how we can, you know, evolve from where we are too, because like I'm not satisfied with where I'm at either, right? So
Yeah,
I think it's just like a striving to be better, kind of mentality. And this is probably the most PG rated segment this podcast may ever have, right? Because
yeah.
you're a sick bastard, and I
Oh,
know there's going to be a lot of
yeah,
ridiculousness to come in this. And again, like this is the first episode. We wanted to touch base on just like who we are and what kind of value that you guys are gonna sort of see from this. But we will kind of devolve into any and everything without a filter. Was sort of the idea of coming into this.
yeah, for sure. And like, if you have like a fragile ego, this is probably not for you. Because you're probably gonna be um like, how do you say it in English? Like your feather are rustled or something like that?
Like a pussy?
No, like when you're shaken, like isn't there like an English expression?
Like easily
Rattling your
rattled.
feathers
Yeah,
or
you get yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
ruffling?
It's probably not the perfect term for it, but this is like your hair and beard
Yeah,
scenario.
exactly. Yeah.
Julian, like you guys are gonna find as we go through this, it has some interesting English isms that he likes to throw around, and he'll
Yeah.
often question. Like he thought we have the same kind of beard going on right now. I didn't really notice that, but
Yeah.
he said, how come beard and pear are spelled the same, but it's not peered or it's
A
not bared?
pier. It should be a pier or a bird, right?
That was a pretty good introduction to
Yeah.
just how French you really are.
Yeah, so you English folks are better appreciate because I'm trying really hard here.
You're
So
actually really good at
yeah,
English though. So
so
I will give you
I
that.
could
Yeah,
have
yeah.
find myself a second French guy and do this just in French. So for you guys listening on Spotify, it's probably going to be a bit harder. And for the other ones, well, I hope you enjoy my accent.
We're just so ignorant on this side that none of us speak French, and you know, we just expect all of you guys to speak English.
Yeah, full totally, totally. And you make fun. Like you can't say a fucking one phrase in English, in French, sorry. But
Yeah,
because the accent is not on point in English, I get made fun of.
that's the
That's
fun of it, though, right?
yeah, oh for sure. And I feel like the more I speak it, the least well, I mean, I don't think my accent has gotten better, but I don't notice it as much
Your
for
English has
myself.
gotten better, but your accent is still strong.
Yeah, accent stays the same, right?
Right.
So, um, and back to your point where you were saying like it's luck, with coaching or in everything else. Uh, I
There's an
prefer,
aspect of it. There's an
yeah,
aspect of
I
it.
prefer to see it as like you're presented with certain opportunities that you
Mhm.
can seize or miss. And I feel like it's those like opportunities that don't come like every month that when you actually seize them, that's when it can actually like propulse you
Mhm.
like really quick to the top, whether it's with coaching or with um, sponsorship or with collab with someone else or in business in general. I feel like what you need is to first be able to actually see those opportunities and then not be scared to actually go for it. Because I feel like that's a big thing people miss in today's society. And it's actually what we did with the podcast for a while. It's just like you find excuses not to go at it like in full
Do you think
swing,
most
right?
people it's fear driven, or it's more like just lack of like not willpower, but like
I think it's fear.
determination?
I feel it's fear of failure. I feel
Yeah, I think
like,
that's probably the number one,
yeah, I
right?
feel like people fear being judged for failing.
Hmm.
Whereas if you don't try, well, then you can't get any negative backlash
Hmm.
whatsoever. Thing is, like, it's when, like, the guys that succeed are the one that failed plenty of times before. So
Correct.
if you don't try, like, you can't really make much out of it. So,
Yeah, no, I feel that.
with that being said, um,
I think it might be
obviously,
a good opportunity to just say how we got to know each other better too, right? Like
yeah. Do you remember?
it's a funny story. Yeah. So you and I met a while back, like through just different various bodybuilding shows.
Yeah,
The one time I really remember seeing you was in the Mindy O'Brien regional show that you for some reason had to do to requalify,
yeah.
and you went and just absolutely dominated everyone. And what year would that have been? Do you remember the year?
That
Was
was
that
actually right after the lockdowns. So that was 2021.
right? Okay,
Yeah,
so we still had masks and stuff, right? I
yeah.
think at that
I
point, yeah.
competed with the mask on actually.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, that was when, we chatted a little bit, but
Yeah,
then we have a mutual friend with Quentin.
yeah,
And Quentin and I are very close, and you guys obviously are as well.
yeah,
And Quentin and I would chat back and forth on Instagram all the time, and he said, Julian's a hilarious guy. Like we've got a group chat, and that's
yeah,
when I got the intro into that. And at the time of the intro, it was called Weight Gainer. Well, it's still called Weight
yeah.
Gainers Anonymous. So the
Yeah, because we were
entire
we were making in a race to who was gonna wait more the
the entire
fastest.
thing was dedicated on who could gain the most weight the
Yeah,
fastest, and we all had separate goals.
yeah.
And
I think
it was
nobody
like,
actually reached the goal that
oh,
we
I
had
reached the
set.
goal. You
No,
guys just
you
never
didn't.
gave
No, you
never gave me
didn't.
credit for
No,
it.
you didn't reach the
Yes, I
goal.
did.
No.
Are you kidding me? You guys let me in, and then you could try to change the rules because at first it was gaining like 20 pounds or something, but you
Yeah,
guys
it
were
was
already in
too
your
easy
off
for you.
season, and I
Yeah,
was just starting, like coming out of my prep, I think.
yeah,
And I was 230. You guys made me want to be 250. I've never been 250 before. I hit 250, and you guys like, no, like this is bullshit. Like you got to be
yeah.
255. You got to have an extra 5 pounds. So I said, all right,
That's
fuck
true.
you guys. Like I'll do it. And then I ended up getting there. And then Quentin, I think maybe you said, okay, that's not bad, but Quentin was still like, no, like
Yeah,
I'm still not giving you any recognition for it. So
that's true.
um that was funny. Like Quentin was like wanting to be 340 pounds. Like
Yeah,
you guys are doing open bodybuilding. I'm doing classic, so it's a little bit different. But it actually pushed me to
oh, for
try and
sure.
get bigger, which is funny because like you should be pushed enough through your coach and everything, but it was just like when it's your peers and
Yeah,
somebody that you're friends with and whatever, it's like an added incentive to push size, probably in an uncomfortable way. Like
oh,
I
for
remember
sure.
some nights I was like stuffing food down, hoping I would be heavier the next
For
day,
sure, because
right?
we were sending a picture of the scale the next day,
Yes, like
every
almost
day.
every day,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So that was where, we kind of kicked it off with, and that group chat just got more and more ridiculous from that point.
yeah,
And that was where the idea of the podcast came from. And
yeah,
Quentin is still going to regularly be on here, I believe.
yeah,
So the idea for this is probably going to be one of the only, I'm sure we'll have more, but one of the only ones with just the two of us. And then this is an idea Julian had, was we want to ideally have like a four, right? I think
yeah.
four would be really
Oh,
cool,
for sure.
to get a different dynamic. Instead of like us just kind of interviewing one other person, we're just going to have open dialogue with two extra guests, hopefully
Yeah,
weekly.
yeah. So if at any point you guys have like special request on who you would like to see or what kind of person you would want on the podcast? Because as we said, like we want to make this, yes, about fitness and bodybuilding, but also about everything else and everything like connected to it, but not directly to it. Like we're not gonna spend 30 minutes talking about cycles, and if that's what you're looking for, like it's probably not the right podcast for you.
I mean, maybe
Um,
one episode we will, right?
yeah, like
Like,
if like if we end up making Q&As and stuff like that, maybe, but thing is
it's funny
like,
because like you do a Q and A weekly.
yeah.
And what is your number one like
Oh, it's
related question?
always
It's
it's
always drugs, right?
always
Yeah, it's
drugs.
always
Yeah. And
drugs. Yeah.
I feel like there's a part of this I feel is because not many people talk about it.
Yeah.
And what I see, and you've probably noticed also, is that some people ask five or six guys doing Q&As the same question to see
Yeah.
if
What's
they're
with that? Are they just
uh,
trying to gain like some
yeah.
sort of like collective idea of how to handle a situation
You know
without
what?
having
I
to
feel
pay
like,
for a coach? Like,
yeah, I feel like it's actually people that are super insecure and that just want reassurance seeing three people write the same answer,
and I
right?
bet they have a coach,
Oh, for sure. For
yet they're still
sure.
going to other people for advice, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it personally.
Yeah.
I've had coaches reach out to me and be like, "Is this my client that asked that question?" I was like, "Yep." So,
That's pretty funny. That's why like I
yeah,
always do the anonymous because I feel like people don't want me to know who's asking me.
yeah, for sure. So, if we're talking about just you, like, what drove you to want to do a podcast? Like, I feel like in being fully transparent, I feel like we should
Mhm.
say like what we're looking to gain out of this. Because obviously, personally, like I'm not Jesus. I don't want to just be giving to everyone. And my goal is to just help
Yeah,
everyone and that's it.
right.
So what are you looking to get out from this?
Well, even people that are donating large sums of money to charities aren't
Oh, I do
doing
it for
it
myself.
selflessly,
Oh,
right?
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, there's financial benefit behind that, and then
Oh,
there's also
well,
like making yourself feel like a good person, right?
yeah, totally.
Um, a lot of it is like I think it's a really good opportunity to just shoot the shit.
Yeah,
Like I honestly like don't have many times because
yeah,
like with bodybuilding, especially right now because I'm in prep, it's like groundhog day for me. Like I get up, I do my
yeah,
cardio, I do my training, I do my clients, and then the next day comes around. So I think with this like weekly, being able to just like talk to a buddy and also like learning from other people and not just learning, but just like having good dialogue. Because I
yeah.
think too, like today's day and age, like everything is text driven. Like
Oh, for
we're
sure.
you and I are obviously always just messaging each other over
Yeah,
Instagram. So there's a difference in between that and just talking openly. I think when we're in this environment, there's going to be a lot of like really interesting things that come up. Like for me personally,
yeah,
and I think like I'm not honestly like this sounds bad, but I'm not doing this to like you said, like I'm not doing this just to openly give out info. Like I'm
yeah.
looking for more
Oh, for sure.
information as well. And where I think just being able to have open dialogue is going to bring a lot of great conversations and maybe like even for me is like a chance to meet other people that have like-minded goals and also whether it's a competitive athlete or someone that's doing something in like the business side of things,
Yeah.
always something to learn from. So yeah, long story short is just to kind of further benefit my own set of tools.
So
And what
basically,
about you? I'll throw that right back
so
at you.
basically, you just want time with me, is what you're
Yeah, it's
saying.
nice. It's like a heterosexual partnership that we have,
Yeah.
right? I think it's really good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Sarah, she's great, but this
Yeah,
is nice. It's nice
it's
talking to
nice
a
to
man with a
change from
beard.
time to time, right?
Yes, yes. I'm
Nice.
getting red in the face from that, eh?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
That made you nervous, eh?
It's my new skincare routine, eh?
Oh,
You follow one of those or what?
you know what? Actually,
I feel
before
like you're
the
totally that
oh,
guy.
for sure. You know what? Before the podcast, like 30 minutes before, I actually went in the shower and then was like, oh, I need to make my face like as good as it can be. So I was like with my little
I'm not gonna
ex
lie, man. It's a vanity thing. I'm the same
oh, for
way. Like
sure. I was
what?
exfoliating, then putting my little beard oil and then
Yeah.
like everything.
Have you ever heard of snail jizz?
No.
I'm gonna give you this one for free,
Snail,
okay? Everybody
snail
listen up, listen
jizz.
up. Snail jizz. It's not snail jizz when you're going to buy it, so don't Google snail jizz. Or, I mean, if you probably Google snail jizz, it'll come up. But this is so I train Manny Manolo. He does like
Yeah,
every good looking girls' hair like in the GTA, people that are, really high end clientele. So he has all the inside trade secrets. Plus he's gay, right? I mean, that helps with
yeah.
understanding anything to do with that stuff. So he told Sarah a while back, snail mucin is what it's called. You never heard of this, huh?
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
So a snail fucking dribbles across the ground. Okay. Here's the snail dribbling, and it leaves
Yeah.
this dusty little trail, like that slimy
Okay.
shit that
Yeah.
comes off of a snail.
Yeah.
So these Koreans, they bottle it and they sell it, and you just fucking put it on your face. It's a game changer.
What the? You
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, I do it. How good's
Oh,
my skin look though?
I'm sure you can get something similar with L'Oreal stuff.
No, no, this is a trade secret,
You
man. This
just you
is
just
this is
want
just
an
for the
excuse to
the,
put
the average
jizz.
bros podcast
You
only.
just want an excuse to put something with jizz on your face.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time, right?
I was like, there's a reason that's why Manny told you that.
Yeah, maybe it's Manny trying to plant seeds. Who knows? But seriously, check it out.
Snail jizz.
Snail
Okay,
jizz, yeah.
everyone. And I will never have a code for that. Maybe Blake
I'm working
will,
on mine. Yeah,
but
I'm
I
working on
won't.
mine.
By the way, speaking of codes, if you want to support us, I won't name the business we're affiliated with, but you can check Blake's Instagram. It's B Course Fit
Mhm.
at B Course Fit. For me, it's at Jujuff. And then user codes if you're going to buy from companies we're sponsored by. That
And
helps
also,
us a lot.
yeah, because this is the first episode of the podcast, you guys should go ahead and like this. If you're on what are we gonna have this on YouTube?
We're going to do YouTube and Spotify if I can figure out a way to
Okay.
extract the audio.
Yeah. So ideally, YouTube, Spotify, whatever you're listening to this on, if you can go ahead and give us a like, a share, comment if it's available to you. We would really appreciate that as
Yeah.
well. And moving
Go.
forward, it's just going to really help the channel.
Yeah. So subscribe, like, comment, and do that now. We're giving you 10 seconds right now.
Yeah. Go do it.
Like now. We're
Just do it
waiting.
now. Get it out of the way.
As soon as it's
You know what I
done,
mean?
we're going to start again.
I'll drop another trade secret. Like I already give you guys snail jizz. Like there's something even better coming after you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good with that, right?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
done.
Should be
Okay,
done.
I think everyone did it.
Yeah.
I can feel
Okay.
the popularity growing on the channel
Yeah, for
already.
sure. Um,
But you never
so
really answered the question as to
what
why
question?
you wanted a podcast. Like, did you
Oh,
answer that?
okay. No. I feel for me, well, I've been a guest in a few podcasts, always in French, I think.
Hmm.
And I always had lots of fun speaking. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I always thought it was like something fun. Like I'm a bit nervous before, but as soon as I start, I feel like it just flows. And
Hmm.
I feel like it's very stimulating. And working online 100%, I don't talk a lot during the day. So it's kind of the same as with you, but even worse, I feel, because I don't spend time with clients, personal training, or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
Now I do have a girlfriend, but I didn't a few months ago. So I was
But she only
spending
speaks
just,
French,
yeah,
so you
but I
can't
still
practice your English
talk,
with her.
right? No, but I still talk because I wasn't talking at all to no one,
Oh, I see what you
right?
mean. Yeah.
Because
Well, you
I'm
talk to your
always,
dog. No, you have yeah.
yeah, but he doesn't reply. So it's hard to have a ongoing conversation.
True,
So
true.
I feel like this is stimulating for me. And also, um, I feel like it will get people to know me better because I think my image on social media is not as um I'm not the same in person as I can be pictured on social media because of the cut and dry answers in my Q&As, right? And that's something I've gotten a lot, that people think I'm like untalkable or whatever, that I'm like super dry and like don't talk to
Hmm.
me, I'm gonna kill everyone or stuff like that. So just
Yeah.
so I feel
The
like
Q&A is not really the time though, right? Like to
no, for
long drawn out
sure.
replies. So
No.
yeah,
So I feel like I'm not like as approachable as you are. So that's gonna help in that
I'm soft and
sense.
cuddly. Everybody wants to say hi to me.
Yeah, exactly. We just want to hug you, right? Um, and I feel like it's also an opportunity to get us out there more, right? Like, and that's really just
Hmm.
in a very egoistical way, but like the more people listen to this, the more people are gonna have access to our Instagram page, see what we do, and then maybe, oh well, fuck, we want them as a coach, or oh, those
Hmm.
products are what he's using. Like it's just about getting out there, and in today's world, I feel like it's something that you kind of need to do because there's so much offer out there, so you need to just keep up and just
I'm gonna keep you going with this, okay?
yeah.
So you asked the good question first of all with the podcast, but Sarah had a friend over, or we have friends that they have a kid as well,
Yeah.
and comes over and plays with Walker. And she it was my birthday actually, and she asked me out of the blue,
Wait, when
where
was your
do
birthday?
it was the 26th. You missed it
April?
actually.
Did
We
I
talked, you and I talked all day,
did I say
and
happy
you
birthday?
never said happy birthday.
Well,
So
did you say it to me? Because I was
no, because I'm
18th.
not gonna be like, hey, like I'm 30, I'm 32, so I'm not at that point with birthdays where I'm not like openly like trying to
No, but did
display
you
my
say happy
age.
birthday to me?
Oh, I never miss. I never miss your.
I was
I
I
don't know
was
when. I don't even know
I
when is your
was eight
birthday.
days before you.
Oh
I think you
shit!
missed it.
No. I had to have gotten
I
you.
think you actually
You think
missed
I
it.
missed it too?
I actually knew it was your birthday. I just said fuck off.
Yeah, it was just a retaliation for me not saying
Yeah.
shit to
Okay,
you.
so 26th.
But yeah, 26th.
And you
Yeah.
turned 32.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And anyway, so she came over with her husband and their son, and shout out to Cynthia. She could listen to this, I'm not sure, but she asked me. She said, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I
Oh.
know that's a hard hitting question, but I'm gonna just throw that at you because I didn't have like best answer for it, but I've had a little bit more time to think about it.
Well, you in 5 years is my age.
Well, yeah, I hope that I'm not in your position.
No, you would regress, right? Oh, you would have lost quite a bit of the things you built.
So you're
So,
37.
yeah, just turned 37. So, where do
Okay.
I see myself in 5 years? Um, well, first of all, obviously, my life has been kind of resetted uh, a bit more than a year ago. For those that don't know why I'm saying that, because I was married and I got a divorce. I had a house, so kind of rebuilt relationship stuff, house stuff. So I'm living in a condo right now. So obviously, first step, well, I have a girlfriend now, but living in my house.
Mhm.
Uh, see, to me, that's a big like milestone.
It's a big chunk of time too,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Oh, for
yeah.
sure. So, and it kind of sets you for the rest in a way, in the sense that you kind of like establish, okay, I'm going to live there at least for a while. Whereas
Hmm.
right now I'm renting, right? So I can move easily, right? Like if I buy a house in Toronto, obviously it means my life is going to be way different than if I still live near Montreal, right? Um,
Yeah, but are you
I
taking this so literally as in like where you see yourself
no, no,
living?
no,
Like I
no,
mean
no.
like where you see
I'm
yourself
going
in, yeah,
somewhere with
okay.
that. I'm
Okay,
going
okay. I'll
somewhere
let you
with
go. I'll
that.
let you go. I'll let you go.
So in 5 years, I do feel like coaching wise, I want to be at a point where I'm a very, very established coach. Not just in Canada, because I feel like in Canada I'm already there.
But what does that mean to be there? Like I know obviously if we sit
Well,
back, we you and I would mention probably like 5 or 6 names.
yeah,
Like you mean like amongst those names. Like would that be considered very established?
yeah, for sure. Like
Okay.
having like consistently like people placing very well at national shows, like just being like one of the names that pop.
Top level athletes.
Yeah, but if we're in the
Yeah.
US and if we go to like North Americans or national shows, then we're not known there, right?
Right.
So
Correct. Yeah.
if we're at the Olympia, we're not known there, right? So to me, like there's levels to this, just as there's level to being a pro, right? So I want to be, and do see myself as at the higher level coaching wise with the pros, right?
Oh,
And I feel like for that, you just need like one or two opportunities that you do something good with to
right.
just get your name out there. And you see that all the time with the coaches. Like if you look at the, what's his name, Stefan, who was Nathan's coaches, Nathan's coach, uh,
Oh,
the
is that
bald guy.
boss
Yeah,
out?
but yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Well,
yeah,
2 years
yeah.
ago, nobody heard about him. Like nobody was talking about him in the US, at least.
He was big in Europe though,
Yeah,
because following Classic closely, he always trained Fabian.
yeah, but he was big in
Um,
Europe, right?
and he's still really great. But
Yeah,
yeah, no,
but now he's
he's
very,
definitely
very
big.
big in the
And does he
US.
train Urs too now, or is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, he does.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Trainers,
Okay,
trains
okay.
Martin, and like I feel like that's the thing. Like once you get like a few good people, then it can just go really, really quick.
You need,
Um,
I think I would add to that like one really good person.
oh, for sure.
Like, let's say you had the chance of having like a generational, not generational maybe, but like top 10 talent
Yeah.
in the world at any category. Like, your coaching is going to
Oh, for sure.
explode. Like, just from that
Yeah,
one athlete, like you're going to get
totally.
messages day in and day out, you
Yeah.
know, like you won't be able to take on more clients kind of idea.
No, exactly.
But that's when you can get, I think, not to steal it from you, but just to think like if I could be more selective with clients,
Yeah.
you
Oh, for
know,
sure.
like I do love like helping people that are just starting out, but obviously there's a huge learning curve in that too. And for us, like our desire comes to like competitive side. Like, we obviously understand fully the process for both, but
Yeah.
having the opportunity to have people competing at the highest level, and obviously when you have someone with those types of genetic abilities, it can get really fun.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Um, so yeah, I see that. I also see myself as a pro. Off, hopefully by then.
In what, like, in what category though?
In open bodybuilding.
In
Shut
open
up.
bodybuilding?
Yeah, because now in
In the
Canada,
masters
oh,
category
because
though?
yeah, it's gonna be easy. Because now in Canada, it's 35 and over for masters. They just changed it this
I'm
year.
not letting you have that card though. Like,
No, it
I would be so upset if you get like
look, look.
35 is too young to be a masters pro.
I feel like 35 is actually when you're in your prime.
For bodybuilding, it is.
Yeah, yeah. So
Absolutely.
I get why they're doing it in the sense that for women it's 35 years old, but I feel
Mhm.
like for men it should still be 40 years old. And I'm sorry, but I'm never accepting a pro card if I'm not winning it in open. Um, and I actually would love to compete in the Masters and the Open next time I compete, if I can end up being on stage at some point. And if I don't win the Open and just win the Masters, I swear to God, I'm declining that card, and I'll be happy to have stolen a pro card from someone that would have accepted it.
Like, you know how I feel about it too. It's like, I think I like to compare bodybuilding to other sports because I'm a huge
Yeah,
sports fan. Like, I'm a huge baseball fan. I watch, all the Leafs games, that kind of thing. So I always think that like when you're giving someone like recognition at the highest level, it shouldn't be equal to someone who is older or younger or
no, I
whatever.
agree.
Like, if you're an IFBB pro, you're the best bodybuilder or classic physique or whatever at the prime age group.
I agree.
If you become a master's pro, it shouldn't be an IFBB pro. It should be like a master's pro, or
Yeah,
call it something
they
different,
would need
like
to make it the
a
Masters League
completely different
only.
thing.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, because it
And
makes no sense.
it
Like
doesn't.
you see people win their Master card and then they end up third in their class in the Open. Like, why is that person then allowed to compete with the other regular pros when they've lost to three Open guys
I
or
like
three Open
I
girls?
think it's so easy to debate this side that I'd actually be interested in hearing someone who had a different opinion on it,
Yeah,
because
I would.
I can't even fathom someone thinking that like it's a good idea to like, and it's the same as like the US bothers me at the amateur level as well because they give out so many pro
Yeah,
cards that
yeah,
it's like it waters down
oh,
the
for
meaning
sure.
of becoming an IFBB pro. We've talked about this before, but
Yeah,
it's like, I see people all the time, and like if I didn't see it in their bio, I would have no idea based
no,
on their physique or what they've done that they're an IFBB pro. And I get like the odd one maybe kind of slips through the cracks at
yeah,
an easier show, but when you're talking about like third in a class or something or second in a class to like win a pro card, it's like you're not the elite of the elite,
no, it makes no sense. I agree.
and you have no business being a pro really.
No. So what we need is two Masters Pro that actually accepted their pro card and lost in the open, and we're just gonna trash you for an hour.
Well, you could just get the pro card, cut it up, and then continue every year competing at that same
Yeah,
show
oh,
and
for
just take
sure.
it every year.
Just steal it every year.
We might have to do that. And we might
Yeah.
have to fly you around the world to do it too,
Oh, for sure.
because
I'm gonna do every amateur master show there is.
and maybe I'd have a different opinion if I'd had been grinding at this for like 20 years and like I was past my prime and I just wanted to become a pro. I could maybe see
Yeah.
that a little bit, but at the same time, I think you have to have enough self-awareness to be like, maybe it just wasn't in the cards for me to
No.
become a pro or
And I
whatever. And
mean
like I love bodybuilding, but yeah,
yeah, like you don't send someone to the Olympic just because they've been training for 15 years.
right.
Like you need to qualify, right?
It's not a handout. Like there's no
No,
like participation award.
exactly. And I feel the exact same about the natural getting a pro card because those natural people would get absolutely smoked in the National Amateur Open show. So
And if
that's
you're good enough to
also,
turn pro naturally, do an open show, win it,
yeah,
then compete. Because there are natural guys or claim to be natural in the pro levels that do okay. Like
yeah,
not great, but they compete, right?
yeah. They could turn pro potentially.
Yes, or be like there's that one guy like Kendall or something like that. He's as classic,
Yeah.
and he's consistently in like the top five.
Okay.
So he's like, a good pro or whatever. He's yet to win a show, but there's obviously going to be the anomalies. But if he's that good, he should be able to turn pro against open guys at the like, undrug
Oh,
tested
for sure.
federations, right? And
For sure.
then just compete through that stream. What you're talking about is when somebody, goes through that stream to get a pro card and then just I guess essentially they feel it's an easier route to
Oh, for
turning
sure.
pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you actually remove those pro card, well, you would actually, I'm pretty sure you would eliminate 80% of the people that
Who are cheating.
aren't really natural at natural shows because
Yeah.
most people do it to get an easier pro card, right? So
Mhm.
if you remove the incentive of
Yeah.
cheating for a pro card, well, then you remove the cheaters and you're going to get people that do understand that pro card makes no sense for them because
And yeah,
they
I feel
they
so bad, man, because I bet you get this too. Like I get clients who come to me all the time and they're like huge gym enthusiasts and they want to compete naturally, but they don't understand that when they're competing at these natural shows, like I'm not going to put out a percentage of people that have either used PEDs in the past or have used PEDs for that particular show, whether they're SARMs or
yeah,
some sort of enhancement. It's just like astounding, right? So like if you're coming from a place where you're totally naive and you think like, this is a fair kind of thing to go into, you and I, we know better because we've seen firsthand people do it, cheat and be
yeah,
successful at that level. But for those who are coming up and actually want to do it naturally, they don't realize that the odds are stacked against them because of just how many people are cheating.
yeah.
And it does wreck it, man. It really does wreck
Oh,
it.
for sure. And see, you got the naive people, but I don't know if you've had that, but I've had this before. People actually ask me if I can help them cheat
Yes,
through
yes,
through
yes, yes,
there
yes,
and be
yes.
like, I know everyone does it. Can we do it also? Can you tell me what to take, when to take it? And I'm like, no, like I'm so against it. There's no way I'm gonna do that. But
No.
some people are very aware that they're doing it in a league where lots of people are not natural, but then they just like that just makes the problem worse, right? Because it's like, oh, because someone else does it, then I'm gonna do it too. Well, if you're gonna do that, just compete in the open league,
There's
right?
no reasoning with the cheaters though, man, because this one
No.
guy did come to me and he told me that's exactly what his plan was. And I said, like, why don't we do an open show? The same
Yeah.
idea as you said. And he had this like weird excuse as to why like it was better to do it this way. Like
Yeah.
he goes, "Oh, I haven't used PEDs in years, and like I used to use them all the time, and this kind of thing." And I was just like, I hate that
Yeah.
it's just an ego-driven thing where
Oh,
like
for
when I
sure.
first started competing, I didn't even have a thought of a pro card.
No.
Like I was just like, I started getting a pretty good physique and I was like, what would this look like competitively? And then
Yeah.
had success sort of early on. And, I started using anabolics as soon as I decided to compete
Yeah.
because I realized, and this was later, like I was 24 when I started.
Yeah.
But I realized at that time that like, this is gonna sound bad, but like true like stage bodybuilding, it's like it's essential.
No, for
Like
sure.
it really is. If
Yeah.
you want to compete at the highest level, it's just a part of it's like a baseball bat to a baseball play. Like if you're
Oh,
going in
for
there
sure.
without it, and especially at the beginning, you don't stand a chance
No.
against like top level guys. And
No,
and
for
I
sure.
knew early on like I didn't want to just compete to for myself. Like I wanted to compete to win, and that was an ingredient that was part of it. But like I said, like I wasn't going into there just like trying to get a pro card and like thinking in my head like what's the easiest way to kind of go about that process.
Yeah.
I was just like I got to get better and this is how to do it and here we are,
Yeah, and then you just get to a point where you're there. Like the next step is the pro card, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, I feel like a lot of people haven't even competed and their goal is to be a pro. Like,
Hmm.
just do a freaking show, see if you like it, see how it goes, win that show, and then see what your
That
goals are
mindset
gonna
is
be.
so disrespectful
Oh, for
though, I
sure.
find.
Yeah.
Like if I hear people saying like, you know, that's what they want, but they're not even close. It's
Yeah.
like before you talk about that, that's like, dude, I worked so hard over many, many years and dedicated a
Yeah.
lot of time into this to doing that. And I wasn't like, at 24 doing my first show saying like, I'm gonna get a pro card.
Yeah.
At the time there was 3 levels in Canada. So when I did the gala, my goal was to qualify for the provincial level.
Yeah, for sure.
And then when I
You
did the
just want to
provincial level, I
go the
just thought
next
like,
step.
man, I would love to do the national level. And then when I was at
Yeah.
the national level, I was like, hey, maybe I do have a shot at a pro card now. But I said, even at that time, probably not, because there
Yeah.
was a lot of good guys that were sort of lined up in front of me that had been doing it for years. And I wasn't, boasting about turning pro. I was just
Yeah.
excited to be competitive.
No, for
Um,
sure.
and then I think when you say the pro thing, like for me anyway, I knew when I was like ready.
Yeah.
Like I knew when I had a physique that was like, someone might beat me, but
But
like
you know you're there
I'm
and
gonna
you're
push
gonna
it.
have a chance. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a real shot every time I
Yeah.
step on stage. But that took years.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
For sure.
yeah, five years, and I competed like at 9 pro qualifiers,
Yeah. There's a
you know?
lot of delusion right now because there's like a lot of regional shows. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's rather easy to win one. I feel like some guys or girls, because they win a regional show, think that they're going to be able to show up at their first national show and whoop everyone. I
Well,
feel
you get
like,
this with your clients too, don't you?
oh, for sure. And I feel
And
like
we have to
that's
keep them in check,
yeah,
right?
that's when reality really sets if they expect to do as well at the national stage as in the regional shows.
You
Because
got to
the
be careful with
the
how you
gap,
temper their
oh
expectations,
for
though,
sure. Oh, for
because it's
sure.
you have to know the individual because sometimes, like, I can be in my mind, like, you're not there yet, but if you
Yeah.
say that to someone, it's going to take away their drive to even get better.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I don't have a problem with someone, even if they're not ready to turn pro, to do the pro qualifying show.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about that? You feel fine with that?
I'm fine with that, but I also ask them what they're trying to get out of doing that show.
Right.
So if the answer is well, I want to win, then I would tend to very subtly dissuade the person.
Correct. Yep.
Whereas if it's, well, I just want to see where I stand and know what I need to work on, then I'm all good with that.
Right.
So I feel like it's really because of that. But I also feel like it's important, and that's going to move us probably a bit from bodybuilding, away from bodybuilding, but that the person should take a bit of time to look at everything else in their life, right? Because I feel like some people sometimes get so caught up in this, oh, I'm going to turn pro, I'm going to do a show, and then I'm going to do another show 4 months after. And
Hmm.
they kind of forget that they have a life to build outside of that. And it's like,
Right.
sometimes it's good to just take a year to build your life. Like, okay, well, you want to be sponsored. Well, take the time off, build your brand, build your social medias. You want to get your job straight. You want to find a better job because you're just working half, like part-time in something. Like, if your goal is truly to be able to compete at a higher level, truth is you're going to need money, right? So you need to actually build a route to generate an income also.
I think sometimes we hear stuff like I've been listening to like some of like Tim Grover's sort of like winning philosophies. Like he
Yeah,
was the mind coach for Kobe Bryant and
yeah,
for Michael Jordan, right?
yeah,
And I, it's funny because I think his type of mentality about like all in
yeah.
can work for some, but bodybuilding is different, where if you take someone with just a really poor structure and a poor ability to accumulate muscle mass and they're all in on the wrong thing.
Oh, for
So
sure.
so I think you're kind of preaching to the general, like the regular person. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, you have to have balance because life does go on, and bodybuilding is expensive, and there's all sorts of things that, like, if you want to support bodybuilding with around it, but there is going to be certain individuals that, like, I mean, if you're like Nick Walker or
yeah.
something like that, right? Like, you're just gonna know
Oh,
that,
for
like,
sure.
you have some special talent that if you apply yourself 1,000% to it, you're going to be okay.
Yeah,
But you got to be very careful with that, because if you're young and you think, like, I have people, I don't know if you get this too, but like they come to me and they're like, I want to like drop out of college and like be a bodybuilder.
yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, man, like I would not recommend that, you know what I
No,
mean? But
exactly.
but then I think there are people that can pull that kind of stuff off. It's just you have to have, like, it's not just a mindset. Like, you have to have the tools to be able to build off of that. Like, I know for me, for example, like if I dedicate myself from 24 to now and gave up everything else that I've been working on, like I wouldn't be any better of a bodybuilder.
No,
Like I'd be
like,
worse because
well,
I'd have
like
less
maybe you'd
resources.
be like 2% better as far as a bodybuilder goes, but all the other parts of your life would be like 40%
Marginally though,
worse.
maybe, right?
Yeah, like
Like,
just by that, but your whole life would be like this much worse. Like you'd be like 30% less with every other aspect of your life, right?
because I think people think that like bodybuilding like is a full-time job or something. Like
Yeah.
when you look at Ronnie Coleman and like guys that came up before that weren't making maybe quite as much money, like they all had full-time jobs
Oh,
and
for sure.
families and kids, and like it's not like it's something where you have to choose, like, okay, I'm a bodybuilder and like I can't do absolutely anything else. Like
No.
maybe the last 3 weeks of your prep and stuff, but like
Yeah.
full well that in the off season, like there's tons of time for, and this is something that, like, looking back now, like someone asked me like what I regret. And it's not like a regret, but there was a huge learning curve of, like, I used to be so fixated on like I have to eat my meal at this time, I have to
Yeah.
train at this time. Like if I don't get my post in within 30 minutes of it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And like all these types of things. And like looking back now, I'm just like, man, if I didn't have that, like I'd have way less stress and I'd probably, be a better person like at that time. But it's taken like years to build the discipline to, like, I still get everything done, but I'm not like super hard on myself if, I slip like a couple
No, for
hours or
sure.
something past a meal. Like that stuff's not as important as I used to think it was.
Yeah, no, because you realize that the impact it has really isn't there, right? Like it's if there's one, it's so small that even
Yeah,
just stressing about it is just negating that positive impact. So
for sure. For sure.
yeah, so I feel like there's a path where you can have bodybuilding lead your life, but I feel like for most people, the better path is to get your life straight in order to then be able to
Support your
support
bodybuilding.
bodybuilding. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you need to see it as a passion more than as a job, right? So what do you do when you have a passion? Well, you work, you put things in place to then be able to have time for your passion, right?
Hmm.
Well, I feel like it's the same thing. And then if you see that your trajectory can kind of go with, okay, well, this could become my job, then go for it like in full and then seize the opportunity. But don't try to generate something out of a body that isn't fit for that, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So and I feel like also like for those people that want to make this their job, uh, you really got to see social media as the main tool for it and not how well you do at shows. Like
Mhm.
companies do care a bit about how well you're doing at shows, but what they care about at the end is how well
Attention.
you can sell, how much people want to look like you or be inspired by you or relate to you. And for that,
Mhm.
well, you got to kind of work on your image and what you present to the people, right? Because if you're really good at shows, but nobody wants to look like you or identify as you, well, you won't be selling anything. And
Yeah,
at
and
the end
that's
of
like
the
the
day,
bodybuilders that are like just like head down grinding in the gym, but like they don't have any type of personality,
yeah,
or they don't show it.
yeah.
They're, you know, they're losing out on a lot of
Oh, for
opportunity
sure.
because like you said, like you kind of utilize the stage as like a tool for you to get your name out a little bit more,
Yeah.
to more opportunity obviously when you're doing better, but they do not coincide at all. Like there's
No.
people that have, I mean, quote unquote, like bad physiques that
Yeah.
preach fitness stuff that have millions of
Oh,
followers.
for sure. For
So
sure.
it really has no correlation at all.
No. No, it's really not related. Like obviously, if you're the best bodybuilder in the world, you're gonna get more opportunities. But
Right. But that's one in, you know,
one
8 billion
in
or
yeah,
whatever we're at now.
exactly.
10 billion. How many people are
Yeah, I
here?
don't know. I think we're still at eight or
8 point
something like
something.
that. Yeah.
My dad got me one of those like funny 1992 posters for my birthday, and it has like what like the main song and stuff was at the time, and
Really?
it made me think about it because there was 5 billion people when I was
Oh,
born.
oh shit. We've been growing fast, huh?
We're moving quick,
Yeah, we need some people to die now.
right? We got to slow down with this health
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. So you guys that are abusing gear, keep doing it. We need you to drop like flies. So you're in prep. You're what, 5 weeks out? 5 weeks out, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
5.2.
It's fine. Yeah, we're doing the points. The show's on Sunday, weirdly enough.
Yeah,
So what is it, Wednesday? So yeah, I guess I would say I'm 5.5 weeks
five and a
out.
half. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So
Mhm.
am I gonna get a host that becomes more and more stupid as we go?
You know what's funny is like you know what it's like. Like I think I always tell people it shouldn't get that hard until about 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
And I'm getting
So
close to that now.
yeah, so I'm gonna need to do everything, right? For the next month.
There's gonna be a little bit of brain fog, that's for sure. But I think with that comes a lot of like other interesting sort of things to talk about and
Oh, for
conversations
sure.
to be had. So sorry, I'm touching my mic a bunch because I can hear like myself breathing again. That's like a main concern I have on this
That's why
podcast
that's
is
why
like,
we're wearing nose
yeah,
strips. Yeah.
if you guys have made it this far into the podcast and you've heard me like listen to me breathe this whole time, just drop a comment and I'll try and
Yeah.
fix my mic setup here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and you know what's funny is that like like so what do you think about like announcing shows? Because I haven't technically announced other than like, right
Yeah.
now the timeline of like what I'm doing. And it's been a different strategy because previously
Oh, that's true. I just announced what show you were doing.
Yeah, I've always been like, I'm 16 weeks out, and this time
Oh,
I haven't said shit.
so I
So
just dropped the info.
yeah, you just dropped the bomb, but it's not
Oh,
even a bomb. You know what I
so
mean?
you'll
Like,
you'll probably drop out of that show anyway.
it seems like a big deal to me because I
Yeah,
think about it all day, every day. But I
nobody
think too, like,
cares.
nobody gives a
Nobody
fuck.
cares.
There's probably four people that care, and they're doing that show.
Yeah.
That's hopefully because I wanted to get to the point where I'm like, I would always historically announce it so early,
Yeah.
but I think there's something a little bit more fun about like waiting and getting a little bit better, and also too like just making sure that I am ready for it.
Yeah. That's true.
Because at the amateur level, like let's say you're trying to turn pro, there's like two or three opportunities for us in Canada,
Yeah. You
and
could
like you'd be
always,
like, okay, for sure he's doing that, right?
yeah.
But as a classic pro, there's something every single
Oh,
weekend,
for sure.
basically. So, like, even let's say I get to 2 weeks out, and I don't want to use this as any kind of excuse, but like, if I'm like,
No.
man, an extra 2 weeks would be great, like, why not take it,
Yeah, just postpone and do the other one for
If you can
sure.
be better, because like for me, like this prep, I've like been able to, obviously, I took yet last year off to add size.
Yeah.
So my goal is like retention of size
Yeah.
through this prep. I don't want to over diet at all. Like Cameron Cheek is my coach, and he's been like feeding me a ton of food, like a lot of refeeds, and like keeping me full and like really good training.
Yep.
And I've been able to like keep my weight up, get harder. But I'm like, at some point, you got to kind of pull down into condition. But I don't want to do that to sacrifice the size that I've gained. So I'm like, man, even if like I just said, like if it's gonna take me, well, it's 5.5 weeks out now, but if it's gonna take me 8, then I'm
Yeah.
pushing it.
Oh, for
I
sure.
don't
Yeah.
care. But
No.
people become very like married to a date.
Yeah.
And then when they do, it's so much extra pressure.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
so much extra
For
pressure.
sure. Because you're
Like
pushing to be
you don't
ready, but
realize.
there's no pressure in being ready at that set date. Yeah, that makes sense.
But then I don't know. Sometimes I find that I can work well under pressure too, where it's
Yeah.
like if you have that date in mind and you're like, this is what I have to do, you're going to get it done.
Yeah.
Versus maybe like a relaxed mindset of like, wow, I could do any show.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to kind of have that like killer instinct and be like, everything is like when it's 3 weeks out, you got to turn it on
Oh,
even
for
more,
sure.
like to get through your training and that kind of thing. And not to talk too much about my show, but like Toronto is actually shaping up to be pretty interesting, like
Yeah.
with who's doing it. So I think like the goal for me, just out of interest sake, would be to do Toronto for like other reasons outside of like being my best there.
Yeah.
Like I want to do it for different reasons, just that.
Yeah. What reasons? You want to talk about it?
I don't care to talk about it, honestly. I think it can be interesting.
Go for it.
Um, like I'm competitive, so like I want to compete
You want to
against
beat all the
the
best
best in
Canadians.
Canada. Yeah, in the area. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that not to, you know, take anyone else away from a scenario, but it's like there's something to be said for like finding out kind of where you stand in like your ranking, right? And
Oh, for
like
sure.
when I did Savannah in 2022, I was the only Canadian at that show.
Yeah.
And it was cool because, there was 26 of us and the 25 other guys were like, I think they were all from the US.
Yeah.
And then now, like, I think Canada actually has a really good roster.
For sure.
Bumstead's okay. And
Yeah.
then
Not bad.
he's okay, right?
Yeah.
But then I think outside of him, like there are guys that have like come up and made like interesting claims as well. So like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna name any names, but there are definitely guys. I think it right now, I would say it's undecided as to who is the second best Canadian
Yeah.
classic guy right
Oh,
now,
for sure.
you know?
And like some people are going to be or need to be put in check. And I feel like right now, like there's some people that think they're like way above everyone, but I feel
I
like
think we all
there's,
think
but
that.
yeah, but there's
I
a lot
think
of,
we all
yeah, but there's a lot of guys like all at the same level or kind of near it, like trending
But
over line.
we don't know because
We haven't seen,
it's been so long since we've competed directly against each
yeah,
other. Like I've competed against like a number of the guys that will be doing Toronto, but it's been years, like years and
yeah,
years, like amateur level shows, right?
Yeah,
So there's a lot of guys that have different strengths. And like any show, right? Like
oh,
you're
for
going to come
sure.
across someone who's got this better than you and that better than you, but um, it'll be fun. And I'm really, really hoping that that is the case, that I'm able
Yeah.
to do that one. Like, I told Cam, he said the same thing to me. He goes, is it an ego thing?
Oh,
And I
for
said, yeah,
sure.
it
For
is though.
sure.
Like it certainly is. And I don't really think that there's anything wrong with that from a competitive
No,
standpoint,
that's a good driver, I
because it can
feel.
drive you,
Yeah,
right?
for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
So in 6 weeks, we're gonna have Blake back and we're gonna see if he's a good Canadian pro or if he's bad.
Yeah, or maybe on second call out, guys. Like,
Yeah.
and then Julian's gonna, whoever wins that show, he's gonna be the new host that takes over
Yeah, we're gonna
my
bring
spot.
whoever wins as a guest.
Yeah, okay, we should
So
do
we have
that.
the winner's perspective and the second
Yeah,
call out one.
yeah, exactly. From watching it from the back line to
Yeah,
kind of show you what the
exactly.
glutes look like.
Yeah. So do you have a big rest of the week before we close things up?
Yeah, like I live off my calendar day to day right now,
Yeah.
like just with everything going on. I don't want to touch on too many things because we're gonna go down the deep end of
Yeah.
everything, but it's just like trying to survive, trying to survive and just get everything done that I need to get in the day.
Yeah.
And then like typically I like to have my evenings open so I can just relax, you know what I
Okay.
mean? So
Good.
5.5 weeks out, it's pretty like extremely structured. I'm not taking on any social kind of things anymore. Like I'm really trying to
Yeah.
stay like locked into my routine. But yeah, that's how I enjoy it anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, what do you got going on?
Well, do you feel like you become more efficient like near the end of prep before the, let's say, the 2 weeks out? But I feel like for myself, there's a point in my prep where I'm like a freaking robot and I'm like just getting things done so efficiently.
I have a theory that that's clan.
Oh, really? Like
Yeah,
before
that's
before you get the dose too high?
n- mine. I never go too high. I never need to go too high with it. Like it works miracles for me like at low
Yeah.
range. So I never really have to
So you
push it.
think it's because of that?
But when I add it in, I always tell people, I'm like, I think I could run like 4 successful businesses when I use this. Like,
Really?
especially if I wasn't bodybuilding, man, I just pump in a couple
Yeah.
tabs
Oh,
in.
maybe
And
I'm gonna try it this winter, this summer,
have you ever? Oh, I
just
don't
to
want to go down
see.
I don't want to go down the
Yeah,
drug route right
no,
now. But yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
Let's keep that for another episode.
But yeah, to your point, I feel great right now. 3 weeks from now, like we're gonna find out.
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
sure I'll be
Yeah.
like saying something in sentence that I just drop off
Yeah.
completely. That you're just gonna have to pick up the awkward
Yeah,
silence.
for sure. I'm ready for it. For myself, well, I'm not competing, right? I do have one client doing New York, Emily, in 2 weeks. I'm actually leaving for New York in 2 weeks. And tomorrow I'm actually going into therapy with my girlfriend.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Not because we have problem or anything, like we're in a new relationship, but we just figured like she's been going on her own before we met. I've been going also because I was interested in like what she was telling me. And I
Yeah.
just figured, hey, you know what? Let's go together just to see like if the therapist can actually bring up certain points and we can just strengthen the relation right from the start.
You need
And
therapy though.
I need it for
You
myself.
yeah, you do.
Yeah, no, it's actually
I'm
something
glad you're
that
going. I'm
it's
glad you're
actually
going.
something that really interests me, like on a more serious note, like just to really like understand like the thought
Why you
process
think
and
certain
like
ways.
yeah,
Yeah.
and for
Yeah.
myself, but also like to be able to get other people kind of. I feel like even as a coach, like it's something super beneficial.
Well, no one wants to listen to your problems unless you pay them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it's nice to tell people
Yeah,
about these
just be
kinds of
able
things. So,
to
yeah,
say everything.
for
So
sure.
I'm
I
doing
get
that
that.
tomorrow. So next week I can talk about it a bit. Maybe I'm gonna come back and be like, don't do that if you don't have a problem. It's the worst.
I went to
But
therapy once and they told me that like I didn't need to go.
oh, really?
So
They're
I swear, man, I don't know what the hell was going on.
they're not
I don't
great
know. Maybe she hated
salesmen.
me so much that
Yeah,
she was
she
like, this
was.
guy's like a lost
Yeah,
cause.
she
Like
was thinking she's
he
not paid
can't be
enough for
fixed.
this.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so I'm
But
doing
that's
that
nice.
tomorrow.
When's that?
Yeah,
When are you doing that? Tomorrow?
tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay, good, good.
tomorrow. So we'll be able to touch on that next week. And I think we can close it up for today.
Wait, I wanted to ask you a
Oh,
question actually.
yeah,
This is coaching related too, because you
yeah,
mentioned having Emily in New York.
yeah.
How many people, if any, do you have doing Toronto amateur um
Um,
at the same time, like when I'm competing?
I'll have one or two.
One or two. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
But you know that you actually have like four or five,
yeah,
right?
I'll have 1 or 2 plus years. Yeah,
Okay, good. Thank you
yeah,
for that. Yeah.
yeah.
Julian's gonna
So
help me out huge
yeah,
because
whoever Blake is coaching for Toronto is getting a big upgrade for their peak.
that's right. They're gonna get the Julian peak and
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's good, you know. Like it's
yeah.
hard to find that person to be able to do something like that.
Oh,
So
for
I'm
sure.
super
Yeah, that's
stoked
it's
that
gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, and hopefully it's gonna turn out well. I'll be in Toronto a few days before anyways, so we can definitely make that work.
if anyone wins, we can share that pro card, okay?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I won't be like running around too much anyways.
You're always running around
Yeah,
too much of these
that's
shows though.
true. Yeah, that's true. All right.
Before we close it out, I
Yeah.
think we should address like I know like we've been reaching out for people's advice on what we should talk about, and like I think we have a pretty good idea of what we like to talk about,
Yeah.
but I'm always open for like advice. Like I got we one thing we didn't do this time was talk about anything that the people on Instagram asked us to
No, I just
during
wanted
this.
to get clicks, right?
Yeah, exactly. We want to hear your advice, but we're not going to take it at all. So we're just going to talk about
Yeah.
whatever the hell we
I
want to
mean,
talk
if we
about.
think something is really good, we might use it, but this just means it was just all not really good.
I've got some good ones, but we'll save
No,
them.
no, for
We'll
sure. Yeah,
save them.
we'll save them
Yeah.
for next time.
Okay.
Um, Obviously this was more of an intro.
Yeah.
So again, like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you like, what you didn't like, the format, anything really. We're open to changing things a bit, but not too much.
That's the Average Bros episode one.
Yeah. See ya.
Hopefully, of many more to come.
Oh, did you take a picture? Oh no, we can't take a picture with our cell phones. We're using it as webcam, both of us.
Motherfucker, eh?
Okay, we can cut the recording. I'm gonna find
Oh,
another
yeah, I
phone
guess so. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Okay. Send
okay.
it to me. Send it to me.
Okay, we're okay.